Hey, welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. So this week, we're going to get an update to the ongoing Qualcomm versus Apple patent dispute, and this time we're in Germany. And then secondly, Bloodstained will drop support for both Linux and Mac. So let's go ahead and start in Germany, where now Qualcomm has actually been able to put a temporary ban on older iPhone models on some hardware patent infringements. And Qualcomm has actually put in $1.6 billion in bond if in case Apple wins in an appeal in the German court system. And so if you're not familiar with what's been going on, I did do a previous episode on this where I talked about the iPhone ban in China. And what basically Qualcomm is doing is suing Apple for infringing on not only their hardware patents, but also software patents, specifically there in China and pretty much around the world as well in the US. And so they were able to kind of win in China, but that was a software patent. But Apple actually said they released an update to iOS that fixed those software patents. And in Germany, it's a little bit different because this is related more to their hardware side of the infringement, which I really feel like that's where Qualcomm has the most power. Because in this case, if you didn't know, Qualcomm is the largest makers of SoC system on a chips for the majority of smartphones and mobile devices out there. So every time any of these device makers puts in a modem, like an LTE modem, they have to pay a patent fee to Qualcomm. So obviously that's a lot of money, especially considering how many phones and iPhones are actually out there. And so this is something that Apple obviously doesn't like. And so that's why we are in this situation now. And so that is something that is going to be, I think, as I stated on my last video, it's going to be settled out of court. That's just my personal opinion. And in Germany, in order for you to get this ban put in place, you have to put up a bond just in case you lose the appeal. In this case, if Apple were to win, because these Apple iPhones, in this case, iPhone 7, iPhone 8, were banned and not being able to be sold, they potentially could lose $1.6 billion. And so that's why that bond was put up. Right now, it's really made to just ban any sales, even some third party, but Apple is saying some are still reselling it. But I think Apple, with everything that they're doing with Intel, other chip makers like TSMC, and this primarily has to do with, relying on Samsung, Apple more and more is going to get, I would say, even more of a independence from a lot of hardware makers. And so they're really going to keep things even more in-house than ever before. And so let's see what happens here. I just really feel in the end, let's go ahead and wait for some type of money being shared. And, in a few years, nobody will remember this, much like all the other patent lawsuits that goes on in the technology field. So the second bit of news is sad to me because Bloodstained has now officially dropped support for both Mac and Linux. And this is something that I was really waiting for in terms of, me, myself being a backer of Bloodstained. I was waiting for a Linux version because obviously I run Linux. But it's not surprising. So on the December update, Eagle had to break the news and they do apologize to supporters. But this makes sense because obviously this isn't a big development team and they've already had to stop development on other platforms prior to this, mainly the Wii and also the PS Vita. And if you actually look at the update, they are showing that they are getting close to getting everything done. It's reached its peak. And not only that, but Iga also has brought in WayForward. They're great developers of games, specifically like older retro style games with a modern take. And so they have come in to help in the development process and some new designs. And so that's one thing I really appreciate about what Iga and the team have done here. Even though, this was originally supposed to be available in March 2017, it was funded in 2015. It's now like 2019. I get it, and because it is Iga, the history he has with Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, and so forth, I understand, and if I look back here, this was all the initial platforms that they were going to release. Now, because I really feel not only that Iga and his team are able to communicate a lot of things to the backers, they also provided it with Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. So I feel more confident that they really are going to deliver. And we're not going to have a case where, we have the whole debacle with the mighty number 9 one. That still stings for a lot of people. But in this case, I don't think we're going to have that. And hopefully here pretty soon in 2019, maybe April or somewhere around there, maybe sooner. I'm thinking it's going to be April or the summer that we will finally get Bloodstained Ritual Tonight. And hopefully we might even get an update to Curse of the Moon, because I absolutely love that. That was a pleasant surprise. But it still makes me kind of sad that, you know, whenever this is released, I will no longer be able to go to GOG.com and get the Linux version. And so that is it for this week's news. If you had any thoughts on either the Qualcomm patent battle with Apple, or if you had any thoughts on Bloodstained, specifically if you were actually a backer yourself, be sure to leave that in the comments area below. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, share, like, and subscribe. Hey geeks, if you are a creative geek like me and you wanted to learn how to create content on YouTube and other places on the internet, then check out my Gold Content Creators group, where you'll get access to 30 videos plus additional content for all the creative geeks out there. And the best part of it is, all of this is free. Simply head over to the link below, check out my page, and sign up for my Gold Content Creators group. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com, and I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.